All right, welcome to part 7 of my directory engine course, where I'm going step by step of creating a niche directory within the Ligna platform. And this video is I would say the most fun, because we have completed everything and we are now ready to start bringing data in using our worker technology. Our worker technology is going to go out there and pull data from Google Maps for you, automatically create these local directories, add them to your directory, send out automated claim your listing invite emails, driving obviously the business owners you want to go after to create an account and provide more than just the business or company info, right? Their personal info and their direct info. Super awesome. In addition to that, because you're generating so many listings and so much data, as you submit this to Google Search Console and spend some time building links to your directory, this thing has become a very valuable asset. If you do any searches online, usually the first 3 organic listings are an actual directory. So hopefully you're in this video now and you've watched every single one of them. If you haven't liked and subscribed, please do so. After this is more measurement and SEO and enhancing and all that great stuff. So we're finally at the place where we need to start putting some data into this platform. First step, we need to set up the worker campaign. And to do that, you need to create, we've already set up the data form, we already have the cadence going, we already have the email, we've already done all that. Now I need to activate an actual worker campaign. And to do that, you need to set up an API key. We're using our own internal API. You don't have to supply this information anywhere. You just have to actually create it and activate it. So go over to controls. I was just there. Controls, settings, integrations, API. Click on add new. Name it whatever you want. It's just internal. Once you name it, it's going to show up in the table. Click this little lock here and generate the secret key. Now, if you plan on using this API key outside of our system, you're going to want to copy this. If not, just go ahead and close it. You can always create a new one. And I'm going to go ahead and delete that one because I already have one set up for my Gmap automation. I use this for every single one of the workers that I do within this account. So now that I have that set up, I'm going to, which by the way, none of this is going to work. For instance, if you're jumping in here and you haven't watched all the other videos, because what we're doing here is you have to create a directory, you have to create these other elements for all this to tie in. This is the worker technology. You can use it just to push data into a data form, but for all this, you got to follow these steps to get to here. But since I set the API up, now I'm going to come over here to templates. I'm going to come over here to workers. And I'm going to set up a new worker. So I have these workers that have been going on. This type is directory and this type's leads. This is just going into the CRM. And then I have one that's actually generating a local listing and going into the CRM. So it does both, by the way. It not only creates the listing, but also goes into your CRM. So I'm going to hit create worker. I'm going to name this Lawyer Network. I'm going to select directory, which by the way, you will not have this directory option unless you created a directory. And then I'm going to select that data form, that new one that I created somewhere over here. Where is it at? Am I blind? Oh, right in front of my face. Lawyers Network. And then the API profile. And then of course I'm using a workspace and I'm going to hit add. So that takes me into the worker dashboard where I can create tasks. Now, if you don't have continuous workers, you can get them inside your inventory. They're $100 one time. A continuous worker will scrape the entire country. So in the United States, there's 36,000 cities that we actually pull from. That'll go to every city in the country. It doesn't matter what country you're in, it'll do any country that you want to do. And then we have single worker task. So every license you have with our platform, we give you a certain amount of single worker tasks that you can use every single month. Once you use them once, you can't use them again until the next month. Continuous workers, you can use them as much as you want. As soon as they come off, you can turn them back on, change the keywords, whatever you want to do. If you don't have any continuous workers, when you create task, you do not have the option as a target. You only have city level. City level is just, you got to do each single worker task city by city, which is cool. You can, depending on how many you have, you can set up quite a bit of these. Continuous worker obviously is the way to go. It's a one-time $100, and you can use it as much as you want to pull as much data as you like. So heck of a deal, actually a crazy deal. Directory, you're going to select the directory you want. So I'm selecting that lawyer directory. That means every listing that's being created, every data that we pull from this worker is going to generate a listing specifically for that directory. I'm going to select Google Business Profile. I'm going to select country level because I have unlimited continuous workers, obviously because I created it. And then I'm going to select the United States. And my keywords, so the thing about keywords, and I probably should explain this. So I do have a worker training video. So watch that if you haven't watched it yet. It's on my YouTube channel. But keywords are interesting because when you search something, let's just say you search, personal injury lawyer, right? Google is going to give you all different types of categories specifically to personal injury lawyer. It may not just be personal injury lawyer. It may be estate planning lawyer, if they offer those services. So what happens is sometimes if you try to put in, because you can add up to 5 keywords inside this worker. Let's say you did remodeling contractor, general contractor, or like remodeler, different versions of the keyword. You're wasting time with that because it's going to loop through the same businesses. Google knows just by doing remodeling contractor, it's going to give you all the remodeling contractors, right? Try to get the top level core keyword. Now I do like the category focus. So if you, for instance, personal injury lawyer probably has 25 different keywords that are related, even way more than that, for just personal injury lawyer. I wouldn't do all those keywords. Google's smart enough to know that these listings are related to personal injury lawyer. I would just do the top level categories. In this case, I'm going to set one up for personal injury lawyer. Grab my list over here and just make sure that's what I want to start with. Yeah, we'll start with personal injury lawyer. So I'm going to add that keyword in. Once you add your keyword in, make sure you select it, and then it'll take you over. This little system allows you to just keep typing in. I like to click out just like that. Now, emails only, this is where, if you're doing a campaign to use the worker technology to get data and you're trying to do an email campaign with it, and you don't want all the data without email, that's where you would check off emails only. But for directories, you're not going to want that. Obviously, you're going to want the ones that come with email. You're going to check this off, but you're also going to want the ones that don't. Even though you're not sending out anything, obviously, because you don't have email, they're still contributing to your directory. The more listings, the more data, the larger your site is, the more traffic you're going to get naturally and organically as you start getting indexed. So I'm just going to go ahead and select add, uncheck emails only, and that's it. So what's going to happen now is it's going to be put in a queue. In this queue, it's basically warming up and pulling out all 36,000 cities. And here in just a second, we're going to start seeing listings come in. And what's real cool is we're going to monitor them come in. In addition to that, we'll see them show up on the directory. We're going to see them in the actual CRM. And then beyond that, we're going to watch the claim listings that go out and show you it real time. So I'm going to go ahead and pause this. Okay, it has officially started pushing data into the CRM and also into the directory. So what you're seeing here is you have a little eye icon. If you click on this, this will show you that right now it's working New York. Personal injury, so far we have 5 API submissions. You'll start seeing these notifications coming up over here. And of course you can click on read all alerts to get rid of those. And it's just going through and finding it. Again, it's whether they have email or not, it's sending it over. So once it sends the listing over, what happens is you should automatically have some new listings popping up. Let's go ahead and take a look at this and scroll down. And there we go. So I'm starting to pull in listings. So I have all these law firms so far. You can go into each one or just a few here just to take a look at. And this will give you just a better look at, all the different listings that are coming in, the data that comes in. So again, we're pulling what we can find. In this case, we didn't find a logo for this particular listing. We did find some information about them, at least enough to bring over. And then in addition to that, we didn't find a featured image. So not all of them are going to have it. You know, depending on the industry, I think a lot of these too are not. That's another good thing is that, you know, we're actually pulling from the optimization from their actual site to get their logo, to get their actual featured image. And so if they don't have that, you know, those are also good intros to call in and say, hey, look, you know, when you share your link, it's not showing your logo. You know, a lot of these tools that are using for, you know, just as far as your meta structure, all that stuff is just not set up properly. So now is it going into the directory? Each of those leads or each of these listings are being created. It's also coming into your CRM. So if you come over here to CRM, to your leads, this is going to pull in real time every listing that's coming in. Now I've filtered by data form, you know, just so I can see this in here. But, you know, if you haven't watched the CRM video, you should. There's a lot to this. But you'll see that this is the only one out of the 7 listings so far that I was able to receive an email from. It's usually about 30 to 50%, depending on the industry. But if I go into that lead, you'll see that this email was fired off. So it sent out. This is what it looks like when they click on their link. So they're seeing their actual listing. So this one did get a featured listing. In addition to that, if they click this link, this takes them out to onboard. When they fill this out, it claims their listing. And so it's their listing now, right? So in addition to that, it's going to show that I have email 2 going to go out in 2 days and 23 hours. So this is all queued up. What's also cool is you can come over here to the cadences side and look by clicking on this little graph icon, and it'll show you that we have 2 that have gone out of the 9 records that we've received, and 1 has opened, 1 has a unique click, and it just continues to go. What's cool is it shows you each node too, and all the data that's associated with the node. I can also click in and go in and it'll filter the CRM specifically to the ones that opened. In the next videos too, I'm going to show you how to leverage our engagement data, because all this is great, opens and clicks and cool, all that's cool. But we want to look at the ones that are actually engaging on your website. So we can see the ones that have gone through the claim listing process, received an email from your agency or your current sales website, them clicking on that and going to your sales website and spending 3 minutes, let's say, on your website. We can actually search and query our data based on how long they've actually engaged on your website. You can even create workflows based on how long they engaged to trigger other automation, maybe add a label, those types of things. So a lot of cool stuff you can do, which the following videos are going to cover all that and how to really leverage this data. This is pretty much on autopilot. You're going to have a small percentage that instantly claim their listing. Over time, you'll have a small percentage that are responding to your 2 emails. But then you're going to leverage, because it's such a wide net, that small percentage becomes large over time. Then you're going to leverage all the other data that we get to do more specific campaigns, to get more listings and more claim listings, and obviously more leads for, you know, whatever business you're doing. It doesn't necessarily have to be an agency. You know, any business that sells to businesses, you would want to have a network of all those businesses and providing them of real value within the platform. So again, this is where you see that. And let me just explain on the worker stuff here. I know it's a little bit confusing. This is going to show you how many regions are set up, basically that we've passed through. Now that means that each region that's associated with this worker, this is an aggregate. So I'm going to actually add another worker here in just a second. This is how many records we found, and this is how many that have been sent over to the API. That doesn't necessarily mean that's how many were actually generated uniquely. And what I mean by that is we merge leads. You don't have any duplicates when this comes through. We check to see if that listing has been created. I've mentioned before, if you use multiple keywords that are similar, we're rerunning and finding the same business for those particular cities. If we find the same business and that listing's already created, we just merge the lead. We don't create another listing. It doesn't trigger another automation. So none of that exists. Everything is merged. So this is going to show you the raw data, but that's not necessarily how many records were actually created net new. You would need to go into your actual lead view. Let me go back in there. You would need to go into your leads view, filter by your particular data form, and then at the bottom you would see the actual total of unique records that were created. So 13 unique records were created right now, and we're on the first city, so they're all going to be unique in this first directory. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one more real quick just so we understand exactly how to do this. Plus I'd like to fill up my directory with a bunch of data. Now, of course, if you only have one continuous worker, you can't do what I'm about to do. So I would certainly invest in the continuous workers to leverage this. But I don't want to minimize, I don't want to make the single task workers not, those are powerful too. You just have to manually create every city. So you can create as many cities as you want based on your limits. If you have our unlimited plan, you can create unlimited worker tasks. You just have to create each individual one. And then when it's done, it's done. You have to create another one. So in this case, with the continuous worker, this is just going to keep running, through every city of a country. And I'm just going to go ahead and add. I'm doing what keyword? Criminal justice attorney. Go ahead and add. Let's just do one more. Let's do family law. Actually, I want to go out to my directory and just take a look at it. So this is fun to me. The data is awesome, and we're going to use this data to generate awesome leads. And this is a nice looking directory. It's just being built on its own, over time throughout here. And then I also have, again, I'll have my blog post on Autopilot. Let me just add one more so you get the concept here. Go ahead and grab that lawyer network, Google business profile, country level, select the United States, add in my keyword, drop off email only, and hit add. So that's it. We've made it through. Hopefully you followed along enough to get to this point. If you have any issues, feel free to make comments on the videos, reach out to me directly. I'm very passionate about this part of the project because it's touching a lot of modules within the platform. And it really does generate high quality leads. And what you do with this data is, there's just so many ways to convert this data into revenue. And the best part about this is the end result is now you have these digital assets out there that are just generating organic traffic. You're now generating leads from the actual the customer coming there. And so there's a whole nother plan to that. If you haven't watched my agency startup video about the 3 branches and how this all, comes together, you should watch that because you can build all that within here. So make sure you like and subscribe. Like I said, the following videos from here on out is just optimization, adding more elements to it, showing you how to filter through engagement data, additional campaigns, Google Search Console and how to get these indexed, external SEO for backlinks and things like that. So a lot of fun stuff here. So I appreciate everyone and look forward to seeing you on the next video.